I don't know. We're going to see if we can figure it all out. I am pretty tech savvy, but when it comes to Instagram, not so much. So we're hoping. Let's get this going. All right. Good morning. All right. Let me pull up comments. There we go. Mute. Fabulous. Good morning. Why will it not mute? There we go. Good morning, everyone. How's it going? If anyone is in Colorado, are you okay? We're all snowed in. This is crazy. If you're here, say hi. I know you're watching. Say hi. I have several questions to go through. I have questions that my students ask me all the time. But for just the Tip Tuesdays, I really, really love to just have a conversation and just chat and see what you're struggling with and what you're going through. And if there's a way that I can help any of you, I would love to. So I am so happy to have you here. Now, when it comes to Instagram, this is new to me. Today is all new for Instagram. We're trying to stream on Instagram as well. And so the reason that I'm telling you that, and it's not working, is if you are watching on YouTube or Instagram, you'll need to be in the Facebook group so that I can see your comments if you have questions. So if you're not in the Facebook group, it's at businessstraightup.com businessstraightup.com/community to be in the Facebook group and actually engage and ask questions and do all of that fun stuff. So I do have several questions that I'm going to go through today, but again, when you're live, come in and say hi, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself, which I've actually grown okay doing because of my podcast. But it's still nice to just, talk to a live person. I wanted to share a few things that have come up lately. I've had several students tell me that they're feeling overwhelmed. And this can look like a few different things. So this can be overwhelmed because you have so many things that you want to learn and you want to work on and you don't know where to start. Or this can be overwhelmed because you have so many things you want to work on and you just don't want to do it anymore because you're overwhelmed and there's so much to do and there's so many things to think about. And both spots are difficult. I have experienced both. You are not alone in feeling that. You're not weird. You're not crazy in feeling those things. Those things are not easy to do. So I wanted to address some of the questions, and Janaya actually asked me quite a few of these. I've had some questions from other people that I'm not going to name because I didn't ask them if I could name them. But Janaya said, I took a big hit mentally at the end of last year in regards to my photography, and now I'm in a place I've been in twice before where I'm fearing moving forward again in my passion because of what's happened in the past and not wanting it to recur again. I'm trying to break out of not wanting to do anything in my photography to get back to the passion flame for what I love. Have you ever struggled with this? And then there are other questions after that, but I do want to start with this. Yes, I have struggled with this. You are not alone. Hey, Cindy just joined. Hey, Cindy. I absolutely have struggled with this. There are times I'd have to find this graph for you. It's so funny. I can't even remember the name. I just saved it when I was working with one of my students, but it's kind of the journey of entrepreneurship. So what will happen is you start your business and you're like, yes, I am a rock star. I can do this. And you're feeling good until something happens and you're not feeling so good anymore and you're overwhelmed. And then you go back up and you're like, okay, I got through that. I'm feeling good. I'm doing good. And then you crash even harder and you're like, what the fuck? What is happening right now? And it feels so discouraging. And I know that this is something that happens to all of us. This is something that we all go through. There are times that we want to just burn it all down. And if that's where you're at, and that's really what you want to do, I want to empower you to do what you want to do, if that's what you want to do. But I'm guessing that you got into business because you love what you do, in which case you probably don't want to burn it all down. You probably just need some time to take a deep breath and get back to basics, because there are so many things that we have to do as business owners that it can be very overwhelming at times. I want to encourage you to go back to your why. So, as Cindy said, story of my life right now. I know it happens. It's so funny. There's kind of a running joke with some of my students that when they found out I was teaching at WPPI, they said, just don't make them cry, Brooke. Because I do, people cry around me. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. I don't know. I took a spiritual gifts assessment when I was younger, and one of my spiritual gifts was hospitality. And at the time, I was like, that's bullshit. I'm not a housewife staying at home. And if you are, no shame to you whatsoever. This was back when I was like 21, 22. And I was like, what? That's not me at all. I didn't know any better. Like 20 years ago, I didn't know any better at all. And now I see that that gift of hospitality means that other people feel safe with me. And that is something that I do not take for granted and that I take very seriously. And so people do cry with me often. My students cry. And a lot of times it's because a conversation with me in coaching and mentoring brings up a lot of shit that we're going through. And I've heard it said several times. I don't even know who originally said it, but someone said running a business or being an entrepreneur is the biggest personal development journey you will ever be on, because you have to weed through all of your personal shit to figure out how to move forward in your business. These are things that most people, when they're employees at companies, don't have to think about, right? They don't have to think about their money blocks. They get a salary. That's it. They don't have to think about their time because they have set hours, usually, depending on the job. And when they're done for the day, they clock off and go home. And that's it. They don't have to think of all of these things. And again, it's not good, bad, or other. It's just different. When you're an employee and you work for someone else, you don't have to consider these things that all of a sudden are front and center when you run a business. And these things, on top of everything else that you have to do in your life, like running a house, paying bills, paying taxes. I know lots of us are there right now. These things, on top of all of those other things, can be exhausting, and they can be overwhelming, and they can be scary, and they can be upsetting. So that is why so many of my students cry when they're with me, not because I'm yelling at them, not because I'm making them cry, but I really try to get to the root of what they're going through. So the reason that I tell you that is because the conversations that we have are often drilling down to the why behind what you do. Because chances are you got into business because you love taking pretty pictures, but you gravitated towards a certain genre or towards a certain group of people or towards a certain community because of your background and the things that have affected you in your life. Cindy said, yes, I got to run for lunch, but I'm definitely catching this replay. I'm loving this conversation. Girl, me too. This is something I could talk all day about. So I'm going to try not to make it 2 hours long, because this is something that I feel so strongly about. The reason that you have the desire to move forward in your business like you do is likely because of things that have happened in your past. Now, that's not, again, good, bad, or other. It just is. Okay. So, what I want you to think about in these moments of overwhelm is your why. And I wrote an article about this where we talked about it's the opposite of the cheer book. I couldn't think of the name. The burn book from the movie Mean Girls. Remember when they just wrote this book that was terrible to everyone? Well, I actually have a cheer file instead, and I keep it in Evernote because my team will pull from it for testimonials, for slides, for stuff like that. But I want to encourage you to look back on these things. What have people told you that you're good at? Not just taking pictures. Are you good at making them smile when they feel uncomfortable? Are you good at empowering them to decide to do what they want to do? Maybe you're a wedding photographer and your wedding couples have everyone else coming at them, telling them, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to have a receiving line, you have to do all of this bullshit that they don't want to do. And you are the one that sits down with them and says, look, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Are you that person? Look at what people have shared with you. Look at why you're in this to begin with. What do you love the most? What is it that after everything is done, after the photos are delivered, after the product is delivered, whatever it is that you do, when everything is done and someone comes back to you, what do you want them to say? Because while pretty pictures are important and you should absolutely master your craft and know what you're doing with your camera, the way that we make people feel when they work with us, I would argue is probably bigger than having perfect photos. Because how many times have you delivered a photo to someone that isn't technically perfect, but it may be a little blurry, but it's their favorite one in the whole thing? I know that I have several times because it's the photo that makes them feel something. It's the photo that affects them. And if you're just coming in for this, say hi. If you're on YouTube, come over to the Facebook group so you can ask questions. If you're on Instagram, come over to the Facebook group if you need to ask or want to ask questions. It is at businessstraightUp.com/community. We are talking about when you are in the weeds and you are overwhelmed and you want to burn it all down. What do you do? Brittany, hi. Brittany just came in. I want to encourage you to go back to your why, because that is what will sustain you through all of it. Being a business owner is hard. No one talks about that. Everyone's like, running your own business is so empowering. It's so awesome. I love it. And I love it too. I love it so much. I always joke that I'm basically unemployable at this point. I absolutely love it. But there has to be more behind why you want to be a business owner, because it's hard, and anything that's hard has to have a bigger reason behind it. Why do you want to do the thing that you want to do? Let's take another example. Let's say that you are pregnant, you are expecting your first child, you don't know what the hell to expect from childbirth. You're like, I don't know, but I really want to do a natural childbirth. Now, we all know that we have options for medicine during childbirth, such as epidurals, that help with the pain of childbirth, right? We know this. We know that that's an option for most of us. However, people choose not to use that in favor of having a natural childbirth. Why? It's not enough to go through that pain just because I want to have a natural childbirth. Usually there's a much bigger reason behind it. There's a reason of, I want to know that I can do this. I want to feel empowered and know that my body can handle this. Or I want to know that I'm starting my baby off doing what I believe is the best for them. Now, again, I have no judgment, guys. I had an epidural for both of my births, so I have zero judgment. You choose whatever works for you when it comes to having a baby, because, man, rock star. Even if it's adoption, even if it's anything that makes you a mama, you go for it, because we are all rock stars in that. But the point is that for every hard thing that you are choosing to do, there is a bigger reason behind it. And so when you face this overwhelm, when you face this craziness and you're like, I don't know what to do with my business anymore. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know where to take things. I have so much I need to do and so little time. You have to go back to your why. For me, on the photography side of my business, and if you're just joining, say hi. So I have two sides of my business, right? I have photography and education. On the photography side of my business, when I am overwhelmed and I am like, I have so many people pulling at me that want my attention. I have to be on all the time. I'm very overwhelmed. I have orders I have to do. I have sessions I have to send for editing. I have so much I have to do. When I am in that mode and I am in that space, I force myself to sit down in my office and take a deep breath and remember why I do this. Remember who I have affected. Remember the fact that I have women that tell me that they never saw themselves as beautiful until they saw those photos. That by itself is fucking priceless. I have clients that have told me that leaving their session, they felt more powerful than they had ever felt before. And that is fucking priceless. All of those things are my bigger why. And when I am overwhelmed and when things are really hard, like, oh my gosh, COVID last year shut down. Hi, 5 months without revenue. It's good times. It was awesome. I really had to dig deep and say, okay, this is why. This is why I do this. This is why I choose to put myself in a situation that is more difficult than just being an employee, because I could be an employee somewhere. I've worked in marketing. If you're just joining, come in, say hi. I could be an employee somewhere. I could go get a job, but I don't want to. Not just because I make my own hours and I have good revenue, not for just those reasons, but because of the impact that I have in my clients' lives. Even the women who have never booked with me follow me and love what I do. And they're waiting for the right time, and I'm okay with that too. There are so many things that are coming at us all the time. So my first answer to that is yes, I have gone through that. And in order to move past that, you really have to focus on your why. Why is it that you do what you do? And I'm talking about the deeper reasons. Okay. So for instance, I have a friend and student who was a wedding photographer, and I kept asking her why. She's like, well, I just really love to get good photos. Okay, why? Well, I really love the happiness on a wedding day. And we kept going down and kept going down. Okay, why? And at the end of it, she shared, I didn't really have those connections when I was little. And I love helping other people show that and embrace that, those connections for themselves, because she didn't have that. And so now it's important for her to empower others to have that because she knows how important it was to her. That is her deeper why. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, burn it all down. Go back to your why, first and foremost. Second, I want to really encourage you to be extremely deliberate about what you're consuming. And let me give a little detail on what I mean by this, because, man, we live in a culture that wants your attention all the time. I want your attention constantly. Look at this. Oh my gosh, the news. Someone's dying. Be really afraid. The weather's going to kill us all. Oh my gosh, we live in an attention culture, and they want your attention because your attention means money. You watching the news means advertisers make more. Means advertisers spend more. All right. So they want your attention like hardcore. They're all over you. Commercials and ads. And now we have a device in front of us that invites that in. There are very few apps that I use that don't have ads in them. Even the ones that I like, I can't buy a version without ads because they make more money on ads. And I get it. It's a business decision, but that means that every time I open that app, I'm now dividing my attention and putting my energy in a place that I don't want it. When you are feeling overwhelmed, I want you to set some rules for yourself. And I'm actually going to do We're going to talk about this. I might do a podcast episode on this because recently I have set up my own rules for social media. I can't follow them every day because of business stuff. Like, for instance, today, I can't stay off of Facebook before noon because I'm live on Facebook. So if you're coming in right now, say hi. Come in, say hello. But I really want to encourage you to be very deliberate and intentional about what you're consuming. And when I say that, I'm talking about news, I'm talking about social media, I'm talking about other people's drama and bullshit. One of my coaches told me years ago, you only have so many fucks to give every day. You have to make sure that the things that you're getting upset about or spending your fucks on are worth it. So if you have so much energy in a day and you choose to spend it worrying about which Kardashian got a boob job lately, like, no, you're running yourself into the ground. And that stuff might be fun and that stuff might be interesting, but you have to be very deliberate about when you're consuming that. What are you looking at first thing in the morning? When you wake up, what are you thinking about? Where does your energy go first thing in the morning when you wake up? Are you waking up and going, oh gosh, I have no money. I have to figure this out. And you're just immediately in a negative downward spiral because that doesn't serve anyone. When you wake up in the morning, are you first thinking about what you get to do today instead of have to do today? Those word changes can mean so much and make a huge difference. So those are two things that I would tell you right away when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're like, what the hell do I do? What do I do? I have all of this information. I have everything I need, and I don't know what to do with it. So first, go back to your why. Second, be extremely deliberate and intentional about what you are consuming and where you are spending your energy. Yes. Are we all still awake? Still here? Comment, say hi. So those are the first two. And you know what's funny is I don't write these down. These lives are truly just live. And I totally forgot number 3, but that's okay. I'll remember it. It'll come back to me. I really want these Just the Tips Tuesdays to be just a conversation, just live. So say hi if you're in the Facebook group. If you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, make sure to go to the Facebook group to ask questions because I would love to answer your questions. I really, really, really want to see you succeed. I do have students that are male and they are absolutely welcome. And I will tell you, I tend to attract some pretty awesome dudes. Like these guys are super sweet and kind, but I really, really have a heart for the ladies because I really want to see my female students be incredibly successful. Brittany said, good reminders because I can waste so much time. Girl, the Facebook scroll for me. I know for some people it's Instagram. For some people it's news. For some people, and when it's news, you're like, well, I want to be informed. I want to be a good citizen, right? It makes you feel better about it. For me with Facebook, I was like, yeah, I'm totally working. I'm working on Facebook. We all have something that we spend so much time on. And not only is it a waste of time and a waste of energy, but it also is a waste of brain power. Have you ever thought about how much time, how many hours you've spent thinking about things that don't serve you with your brain? I tell my clients this all the time. How much time do we spend beating ourselves up about how we look? And of course, that's with my boudoir clients, but the same can be said for business stuff too. How much time do we spend saying, I'm not good enough? Or I don't have work as good as that person. Or I will never be able to charge those prices that she charges. How many hours have you spent on thoughts like that? Like, just give yourself a ballpark, okay? Let's say in the last week, how many hours have you spent on on thoughts like that? Because I can guess in my previous life before before I really started to embrace confidence in my own business and I really started to grow, I can guess it was probably 10 to 20 hours a week, maybe an hour a day, thinking about how I could be better so that I could be like that person, how I wished I could do what that person does. So I'm gonna say 10 hours a week. So at 10 hours a week at 52 weeks a year, that's 520 hours of my life every year that I was spending on something that made me $0, made me nothing. It didn't serve me at all. It literally gave me nothing in return. Now, a little bit of competition, excuse me, can be a good thing when it forces you to strive to be better. But the only person you should want to be better than is who you were yesterday. Brittany said, I can really waste so much time on social media. That is, sometimes our self-care can be our own self-sabotage when we choose to let that self-care end up neglecting our need to do's. Yes. I have learned, so another podcast episode here. I need to write these down. Sorry, guys. I have to write these down because these are going to be much larger conversations, I think, on the podcast too. And I need my little Post-its here. I have learned that the more that I create structure, the more freedom that I have when I want to have the freedom. And that's really hard for me because I'm always like, I don't need structure. I'm a business owner. I get to decide. I'm a free spirit. And the reality is that when you create more structure in your life, you have more freedom to do the things that you really want to do. And that's been a really hard pill for me to swallow. But it's so, so, so true. Because when you create a structure, including self-care, I will literally, now I can't right now because we have 3 feet of snow outside, but I will literally schedule my bike rides on my calendar because to me, that is self-care. I love going outside and seeing my buddies, AKA the deer that live near me. We just hang out. I love seeing the water and being near the water. I ride over at the reservoir near my home, and that is self-care for me. And I literally schedule it into my calendar so that it doesn't turn into a reason to neglect the things that I need to be doing. And you're absolutely correct, Brittany. That is a real conversation because we have gone, and I'm all for self-care, and I think that it's really important to do self-care. I have learned that over the last 2 years or so. But I think we also need to be real about what self-care is because a lot of us are like, I just need some downtime. And I've done it too. I will go in my bedroom. I just need some downtime when everyone's pulling at me from a million different directions. I just need some downtime. I'll tell my kids I need 10 minutes. And I go in and what do? I scroll social media. Now, sometimes that's a good thing because I see my friends' dogs and their kids and the new babies and all that good stuff. But more often than not, it turns into stuff I don't want to see. It turns into the attention grabbing shit, the ads, the, hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do this. And it just takes so much energy away from me. Self-care should be renewing, not draining. And that is something that we have to go back to. And it doesn't have to be bubble baths. Sometimes self-care is saying no to the asshole who wants you to do something you don't want to do. That's self-care too. So if you're just joining, I see more people joining. So say hi. Say hello. I am writing down some notes on things to talk about on the podcast episode. We've been talking about overwhelm and what to do when you just want to burn it all down. And just for a recap, I said, first, you have to get back to your why. And second, what did I say? Second, oh yeah. Be very deliberate about where you're spending your time and your energy because consuming can usually lead to feeling crappy. about yourself and your business. And that doesn't serve anyone. Thinking about it is making you nothing. I saw that on a meme recently and it really hit me. Thinking about it is making you nothing. Ain't that the damn truth? So say hi in the comments. I know Cindy had to leave. I know Brittany's here. And I don't know. It's so funny to see people watching and then not know who it is. Anyway, I will let you guys go back to your day. I just wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement. Thank you so much, Janaya. I really hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Let me know, but thank you so much for sending in those questions. I know how difficult it can be to ask the hard questions and to put yourself out there because it's vulnerable, right? It requires showing a side of yourself that you may not always show. And it's really important to do that. And you will grow so much more and so much faster when you do. So does anyone have any questions before I wrap it up? Anything to say? Anyone sick of the snow if you're in Colorado? So I have to tell you, anyone who's not in Colorado probably thinks of, usually people think of skiing and marijuana when they think of Colorado. And the snow is not something we usually have a ton of. Okay. So we'll get snow, we'll get 6 inches of snow, but then the next day it's 60 degrees. And so it all melts off. Well, this past weekend, we got about 3 feet of snow where I live. And right now it's not melting off. So I am over it. It's all right. It'll be good. We needed the water. It's just a lot. But I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day. If you have any questions or you need help with something, or you just need someone to say, you are not alone. Business is hard. Running a business is not easy to do. And it's okay to say that. It doesn't mean that you're not grateful for it. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're failing at business. It means that it's not easy to do. And it's okay to honor that. You're not alone. We're all in this. We will get through it. Lisa said, I shoveled the driveways with my son yesterday and I can hardly move today. Oh, girl, you need some sort of rub. I love Deep Blue rub, but everyone has a different preference. Get some rub on your body. Go for a massage. Ooh, I haven't had a massage in far too long. So have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for joining. And as always, if you have any questions, let me know. Come on over to the community at businessstraightup.com/community. I am so happy to help. I do want to let you know my website course will be available again at the end of this month. As you all know, it is not available all the time. I would like to change that. We'll see if it happens this month, but it will be available at the end of this month. It is called Spiff Up Your Site. It is how to turn your website from a half-ass website into a website that actually converts and works. Your website should be your best performing employee in your business. And if it's not, it is time to say no to a half-ass website. So if that is something that you need help with, please check out the free masterclass that will be opening. I'm sorry, I don't have a link yet because the page is not ready yet, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be businessstraightup.com/ websites that convert. There we go. Done and done. businessstraightup.com/ websites that convert. I will set up that page today. And as always, please ask